Hello, and welcome to this week's A Star to Steer Her By. Holy goddamn crap. We are on episode 216.
Woo!
Which is way too many. Like, we should have stopped.
Woo.
No, actually, no. Well, because this is a fun week. One of these episodes I really like. Let's figure out which one.
I already know the answer.
I don't know if you do. But speaking of, who the fuck are we talking about? Well, we're talking about me, Ames.
And me, Caitlin.
Jake.
And Chris.
Jake, you're no fun.
He's never fun.
You never get into the theme.
I only like my fun, which you all hate. So
No,
That's true.
Excuse me?
What's good for me, though, is, like, I'm bad at improv, so the fact that he already broke the chain meant I didn't have to think of anything.
Yeah, see, Jake, what you're doing is you're giving Chris an easy out.
Woo!
Oh, good.
that's true.
I'm
I don't
glad.
want to make anything easy for Chris. Ever.
Easy out.
Ow.
Easy out.
Ow.
Sorry.
Speaking of the easy out, let's talk about these episodes this week. We are talking about DS9 Season 6 episodes, Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night, and Inquisition. Starting off with Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night. Because Nana Visitor was pregnant during Trials and Tribulations, we decide to give her a shot to play with the Orb of Time and have fun times in the past. It's only fair.
Oh,
So,
boy.
Dukat calls up Kira to wish her a happy It's Your Dead Mother's birthday, which is already a weird thing to do. And then he just has to make sure to tell her, by the way, your mom and I, we used to plow. Like, a lot. Like,
Ducat carrying on the tradition of Xbox gamers everywhere.
no. Oh.
Except he really did.
He did, and he basically draws Kira a picture of her mother's vagina from memory to prove it, and Kira's like, yep, that's mom.
Yeah, remember that?
I remember leaving that.
Remember that scar she had on her vagina? That was me. Sorry, that's a terrible thing. I apologize. Yeah, because nothing makes me want to fuck somebody like them telling me about the time they used to plow my mom. Just sarcasm, by the way. Why did he think that was a good way to talk to her about shit?
We'll
He's
talk
a
about
monster.
Dukat
Anyway,
later.
let Ames do the thing.
Doing the thing. Okay, so Kira is super weirded out by this. So,
Natch.
Cisco pulls yet another Cisco and says, hey, even though it breaks the temporal prime directive like whoa, it breaks it every which way, including loose. I'm gonna let you go play around with the Orb of Time, because the Bajorans apparently just let any fucking one go tool around with it, and that can't be good. Toodles! Damn it, Bajor, you guys are idiots! So Kira goes back in time and meets her mother, Kira Maru. We re-meet her father, Taban, who we watched dying in that flashbacky episode.
Mm-hmm.
They get the same guy?
Yes, it is. It is the same guy.
Nice.
Nice.
Sorry, go on.
We meet a little mini Kira and her little brothers Rion and Pol, who are living at the Singha refugee camp. And all of it's going well, and by well I mean they live in a concentration camp, until Basso Tromac, this asshole Bajoran collaborator, swoops in and he says, I'm taking all the pretty ladies to be comfort women for the Cardassians.
Basso does sound a lot
Yikes.
like asshole.
And after I'm done throwing up in my mouth, we get a lot of really uncomfortable scenes with the comfort women, which just make me throw up in my mouth some more.
So uncomfortable.
Same.
This might be the most uncomfortable episode of Star Trek, period.
It's
But we'll
pretty
talk
fucking
about
close. You could put it in Code of Honor in a room together, and
They're uncomfortable for very different ways.
that's
Yeah.
true,
So-
but both really uncomfortable.
So we see Dukat has wooed Maru, as he told Kira that he did, and Kira starts to view her mother as a collaborator, and it gets really unfortunate for her, because she used to think her mother was, like, fucking hot shit. So she pals up with Halb Dayer, a guy in the Bajoran Resistance, and they decide, let's stick some dynamite up Dukat's ass. And Kira's super on board for this. But when she gets to see her mother, like, having a true sad when she's watching a video from Taban being like, hey, our life is a little better now that you're doing this for us and we really miss you, and Maru is, like, fucking weeping. Kira realizes, no, I can't just let her get killed by this dynamite I've stuffed up Ducat's ass. I'll save them both from the explosion, which throws her back into the future. And she tells Cisco, man, I just couldn't do it. And he's like, oh, really? Why not? And I scream at the top of my lungs, because it breaks the temporal prime directive, you fucking idiot. Why do we let people do whatever they want with the orb of time? That's a bad idea. It's always a bad idea. God fucking damn it, the end.
Yeah, but it's a bad idea, but this is Bajor.
Full of bad ideas.
That's on their flag.
Bajor's flag just says HMB.
Yep.
What's that?
Hold my beer.
Oh, yeah, basically. God, they're fucking idiots. They should have destroyed the orb of time.
I mean,
yeah.
It sounds like you have to get special dispensation from Cisco to go see it.
Which is not his job.
No.
No. God fucking damn it, it drives me crazy that Cisco is the Bajoran emissary to the Prophets. But he's also commander of Deep Space Nine, which are entirely conflicting. Like, he should not have let Kira do this. He should not have any rights to do any of this fucking bullshit.
Well,
it drives me nuts.
There's our theme for this week.
It sounded
Conflict
to me
of
more,
interest.
It sounded to me more like he's not like the guy in charge of the Orb of Time. He's just used his emissary powers to pull some strings.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
That's what I thought. That was my impression. It was like, listen, they keep that thing under guard, but if the emissary were to say I should be able to do it, maybe hint that the prophets told you to let me use it.
I can see that.
Kira says something. She says, when Cisco's like, temporal prime directive, right? And Kira says, oh, don't worry. The prophets won't let anything weird happen. Which I guess they don't, because I think there's a different way of how this was used then in Trials and Tribulations, in which Kira had the Orb of Time while they were in the past. So she was able to kajigger it to bring her back to the future.
Well, yeah.
In this one, it just happened.
Yeah, in that one, it's not very consistent because, in Trials and Tribulations, the Orb of Time turned the Defiant into a time machine. It was a flux capacitor in the Defiant.
Yeah.
Whereas this time, it's like, it feels almost more like a vision, even though I'm guessing she was actually back in time, and those events did happen now.
So Ducat and Rue just saw her vanish after she saved them from the explosion.
Yeah, it's like, she must have been vaporized by the explosion. I don't know.
So, I mean, I had a similar kind of I kept making cracks about Back to the Future in this one, and really what it comes down to is it's just like when one day George's son Marty grew up to look just like that guy Marty he met. Like, all of a sudden, Kira shows up one day and he's like, hold fucking on. Because believe me, you'd think he met so many, but if it's a woman, he remembers her face.
Or at least everything below her face.
Maybe that's why he's got such a bonk on for Kira in present days, because
there we go.
Oh, there it is.
He reminds her of the friend of her ex-girlfriend.
Yep. That makes sense.
That he was seriously trying to set up a threesome with, but
oh yeah. Yeah.
As soon as they were escorted to their new quarters and they got there, I was like, they're gonna put them in the same room, and Gul Dukat is gonna finally be like, I get to realize that mother-daughter fetish I never realized I had.
But he doesn't know it's her.
Yeah. I know he doesn't, but still. See,
the way this would make way more sense, but it technically doesn't jive with, again, how we first saw the Orb of Time.
Because if we stopped doing these bad time travel stories,
Well, aside from that, but you have to imagine that if it wasn't a vision, it was at least a new timeline was created. And
God, that's worse.
Had Kira succeeded, she would have still come back to her timeline instead of the new one. Because, the prophets did seem to be about to allow time to get really... How is there an Orb of Time from people that don't interpret time linearly anyway?
Oh, God.
Well, I don't know. I think,
Don't think about it.
Who knows? But here's the thing. I actually misremembered the setup to this episode. I think in my brain, I had combined my memory of this episode and my memory of the Odo not time travel episode, the coma,
Children of Time?
The coma dream episode.
Oh, the Coma
Yeah.
Dream episode. Things Past, I think?
Yeah, and I mixed those up. So I thought that was the setup to this episode, that like something happened and either the prophets sent her back just to witness this, and that she played her mother in her own memory, like a
weird.
quantum leap
that's
situation.
Weirder.
Oh, that would definitely be weirder. Ugh.
But it was just a vision.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
this-
didn't remember that this was an actual time travel episode.
Yeah, they just say let Kira do a time travel because she wants to see if Ducat banged her mom.
I think like we've already
Weird.
established that like there can be vision type stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that like let's just do that. Like that would have made more sense, because then you wouldn't have the risk. A, you wouldn't have to retcon the orb of time, and B, you wouldn't have to have this whole, you know, risk of destroying the timeline, which wasn't really even a factor in the episode, which I think was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
but
like
we
Kira could be
said-
battling, could have like it's not about like, if I kill Ducat in the past, it'll change the future, but possibly for the better.
And also kill me and my mom. Was she gonna get blown up herself?
She probably would have because it went off like before. Well, actually, that's not a good point though, because the guy
she was
said
on her way out, I think, when it started, though.
yeah, and the guy said that the thing would blow up 20 meters, but what he didn't mention is that the wall stops it. Like being out in the hallway 2 meters from the bomb is fine.
The wall was sturdier than he thought.
You should just
A
be
lot
wearing
sturdier.
walls.
I mean, I can imagine Ducat when they were building the station was like, yeah, put a few extra layers of, you know, deuterium or whatever the hell is on
In my
the
quarters.
walls. In my quarters.
Yeah.
Deuterium's hydrogen. I don't know what the fucking thing is made out of. Super
Cardassium.
Cardassian steel. Because, you know, everything in space is just the name of the planet that it's from, plus the name that it has on Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cardassian steel,
Bajoran
Bajoran
lilacs.
lilacs.
Yep, I threw a fit over that too. Like, really? We don't even call similar flowers to lilacs on Earth. We have many, many flower names.
Klingon tungsten.
And of course, remember, these were lilacs, as
Yeah.
someone mispronounced at one point.
Oh no!
I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? A what?
I think it was
Was it
It's
Ducat?
Ducat. It was
Yeah.
Ducat.
A lilac. Lilac. I was like, what is wrong with you?
Jesus.
it's like it is a shame they did it this way, because I feel like it's been a while since we had like a standalone Kira deals with the reality of the past versus her like really very black and white morality, which it always makes for good drama.
Oh yeah.
And there's
It's a great
still some
character.
drama here, but because it's wrapped in this bizarre time, like, it would have been better if she just had to go, like, find people in the present and talk to them. And
Yeah, find a comfort woman who survived maybe and talk with her. That'd be interesting, actually.
maybe find Bosso or whatever and shove a knife up his dick.
Ooh.
God.
That guy.
I'm guessing that guy, the second the occupation was over, he was like, hey, Cardassians, do I get to go with you? And they're like, fuck you, no. And
No, he's
then
dead. He's
instantly
been
he
killed.
was set upon by crowds of Bajorans who tore him limb from limb.
You know, I like to think he was very slowly tortured to death. He did a great job of being just immediately
I
reprehensible.
don't know, being torn limb from limb sounds like it would hurt a lot. I mean, it'd be pretty fast, but it would hurt.
It's fast. I want it to be slow. So funny story about that guy, though, who I'm sitting there, I'm like, have we seen him before on Star Trek? And no, we haven't. I recognized him because he's Weird Al's roommate in UHF.
Oh, funny.
Nice.
Did he
Word.
deserve a knife to be stuck up his dick hole in that film?
No, he was very nice and desperately trying to keep the station afloat.
Well, it's really sad that he's turned like this on us.
Yeah, I like to. I actually can sort of imagine that guy may like if Ducat liked him enough, maybe he's living on Cardassia at this point.
Now, when you say liked him enough, do you mean maybe when he needed to mix stuff up would fuck him too, or
Oh no.
Probably.
I'd be into that.
He feels like the kind of bastard who probably, even if he didn't get to Cardassia, probably weaseled his way out of Bajor and is now just living in some backwater miserable.
Yeah, he's the who is the dickhole on the Titanic that
Billy Zane?
Ismay?
Ismay was the one that the White Star guy that snuck him, went onto a boat.
Oh, I've never seen
Billy
it.
That's
Zane did it
debatable.
too, but
I mean, he's a real guy, Chris.
IRL Ismay was a guy.
Oh, I thought maybe he was one of the fictional passengers.
No. Billy Ismay was like the White Star Line dude who told the captain, "No, go full steam ahead. Don't worry about the ice warnings. Just go. We're gonna break records on this ship."
Oh, they were right. They certainly broke some kind of record.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah, there's a fascinating play about him, but we're not going to, let's not talk about fucking...
Yeah, no,
Let's talk about that later, though.
That's something
'cause
I'll have to look
I
into.
think Chris could probably play him.
Ooh,
I haven't read the play
I'll
yet,
send you
but
a
I feel
script
like
later, Chris.
Chris would do great work.
It's a good script. Anyway, no, another thing, so even if we're saying the prophets will protect us in the past, or protect the past from getting fucked up, which I don't believe for a fucking second.
Yeah, no,
'cause
they
the
don't
prophets
care. They don't understand linear time. Of course not.
The other stupid thing is, so Cisco says, "Are you gonna fuck with time?" And Kira says, "I promise I won't fuck with time," which you can't believe her.
I was
for
gonna
a
say, and he
fucking
believes
second.
her, the sap.
It was The Darkness and the Light, I think. Another weird dark episode with Kira's weird past. In which
Is that the one with the Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah, that one, where she goes and kills that Cardassian who's killing all her friends. She basically said, "Oh yeah, give me the info on all the people we think it might be. I promise I won't kill them." And then she goes and fucking kills people. And you're like, that's Kira for you. You can't let her do this shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fine, but it's like I said, like, she has a very black and white view of morality. Like I was saying about O'Brien last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, these are two characters who have very specific viewpoints. Do not ask them to work in gray areas.
Yeah, this is very true. And also, though, I do think that, so from the prophets will save me from fucking this up. From the prophet's perspective, then, because they're timeless, from the prophet's perspective, these events have already happened.
It's always been Kira.
It's always been Kira. There is no alternative version.
This is how it was meant to be.
Yeah, so no matter what, this, I don't know that she could have fucked it up.
Yeah.
It's like if we go back and watch the original Tribble episode, Jadzia will be in the background.
That's right. and Bashir and Curly do get a dressing down by Kirk.
Have I said I love we're calling him Curly now?
But anywho, hey, something about this episode though is how fucking old is Ducat? Because he looks exactly the same
His
like
hair's different.
40
I
years
said-
in the past.
I said that same shit. I was like, damn, he ages well.
He hasn't aged
What
a
is their
day in
lifespan?
40 years.
Here's what I've decided, because he's a reptile, and Chris was saying, like, well, then maybe they don't age like we do. And so I've decided that what actually is going to happen is someday he's going to molt, and there's going to be a whole nother actor under there. Like, he's going to be French Stewart or something.
Ugh.
No, I know, that's
What
a
an example.
terrible choice, but it was the first name that come to mind.
No,
And he
someday he's-
definitely would never be mistaken for Mark Alemo, though
No,
they are
someday he's
both
gonna get-
hideous without the makeup in their own ways.
He's going to molt, but he's going to be Bajoran underneath because, as I established,
Yes.
Bajorans and Cardassians are the same species.
Oh
Yeah.
That would
my
be
God.
interesting.
I mean,
Or maybe that's what happens when you've got Bajoran fever. You molt and
Oh.
you become Bajoran.
God,
Oh,
but
no.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, between the fact that they are a reptilian species and we don't know what their lifespan is
Right,
like.
because we met Tane, and he's Garrick's dad, and doesn't look that much older than Garrick.
Yeah, so it's like the impression you're under is made, like, when you do see one that looks actually kind of like looks old, it's like, no, you don't get it. They are old.
They're not. They don't usually live this long. Usually, a Bajoran kills them.
Yeah.
Or either a Bajoran or the Obsidian Order.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Speaking of the Obsidian Order, I wanted to mention what the original plan for this episode was before they kind of honed it down to being about Kira's mom. And that's it. Somebody had the idea of we want to do a story inspired by Joseph Mengele, that Nazi scientist,
Oh,
in
odd.
which we're seeing ghosts of Bajoran children all over Deep Space Nine. And we're like, oh fuck, this is weird. This is probably some of that weird Bajoran bullshit, like when they yell at Cloud. God damn it, Bajor. Until we learn that this is actually that this Cardassian from the past is sending these children to the future to gather info for the Obsidian Order, which I actually think is kind of fascinating.
So here's the thing. Nazi scientist, okay, interesting. Like honestly, I've read books about the Nazi scientist. That shit's fascinating, but really dark.
Oh yeah.
But then this really weird like, you kind of had me there. I was kind of like, that's horrible in a way I could get behind. But then to have it be like, also there's really stupid time travel involved for a bad reason.
You'd prefer they just be ghosts?
Yeah, I kind of would.
Weird.
Well, because they don't. Well, here's the thing. We've already seen they wouldn't be ghosts. They would like somehow be like some kind of echo in a phased blah 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 blah. Haven't we already done that? Haven't we already had people like phased out of like
No, sure.
the real continuum or whatever?
I mean, shit, you go back to the Tholian web.
I was going to say we've always had Paris.
Mm.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, like, I feel like we could, you could easily explain it with some Star Trek bullshit and be like, oh, yeah, it's, the phase of, it's, you know what it is? It's actually, it's transporter signatures that, have been, like, shot by dilithium crystals. I don't really know. Something like that.
You know, here we go. Here's how it is.
Good, Jake's got it. Thank God.
He's good at this.
The scientist, the mad Cardassian scientist is actually working on a new transporter technology that will let them beam people light years as opposed to having to be really close.
Yep, that's it.
But what he doesn't realize is that by beaming people that far, it's actually fucking with space-time. And he's actually not, instead of beaming them to a great distance away, he's beaming them to a great distance in the future. So the children just start materializing as if they've been beamed all over Deep Space Nine.
That's it. That's it exactly. See, he's got it. That's way better.
That's cool.
That's way better.
Yeah.
And it's no less horrifying because the travel could like just really fuck them up and they could all die really quick and something terrible could happen to the children. They have to save the children.
They're separated from their parents and they're somewhere where they shouldn't be.
Well, then they meet, but then they find out that their parents, some of them anyway, have parents that are alive, but who haven't seen them in 40 years.
Yeah.
And the last time they saw them, they were kids.
I
like it.
Well, didn't we already have something like that? What's his ass was like, I haven't seen my family, the one that thought he was the emissary or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little different. He said everyone he knew and loved was dead.
Oh, okay, yeah, good.
It had been like centuries.
Good, fine.
Yeah, I wonder what Jara Basso shithole is a member of.
What, the Jara? Oh, boy.
The little bitch Jara.
I'm a little bitch, just like my parents before me.
Yay.
But yeah, it does seem like to want to do a story about as an allegory for Nazi like science bullshit, but then turn it into baby time cops feels like it's kind of disrespecting the source material, for lack of a better term.
It got weird tonally, like that's,
yeah,
it's a weird kick in the face.
Yeah, it's like really minimizing the absolute terror show that those bastards were.
Well, it's also
it's still terrifying.
In this episode, I do feel like I wish we had heard anything else about Kira's mom before this episode. So, because I feel like she was introduced as a concept in this episode. Like, no one ever thought about. Well, we know that Kira had a dad, but we never really thought about her mom too much.
We have heard that she did have those two brothers.
Yeah, we've heard about the brothers before.
Oh, have we?
Yeah, they were.
Okay, that's really funny.
They were mentioned before.
But we haven't seen them. We don't know if they were alive.
I didn't realize they were younger than her, because that means like her mom just popped out a kid a year, and Jesus Christ.
Hey. Not much to do in the concentration camps, evidently. Yikes. It's not even like it's like work. It's concentration camp, but it's also like
it's a labor camp too.
They're just left to their own devices, and because there's like roving bands of assholes that are gonna knife you for a scrap of bread.
Yeah,
it's nasty stuff. It reminds me
not
of
even scrap of bread, half a cup of soup for fuck's sake.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of you ever see the movie Empire of the Sun with young Christian Bale?
No, but I've heard of it.
It's a good movie, but it's about how when the Japanese invaded, I want to say Shanghai. I should rewatch the movie to remember, but when the Japanese invaded place in China, there were a shitload of Brits living there because Britain, and like really like
About sums it
upscale,
up.
High society. Yes, yes. They're not the oi governor. They are the governors.
Yeah.
And one of them
Boy.
is Christian Bale's family, and he's a child. And they evacuate the parents, but he gets left behind. And it's basically his story of going from like labor camp to refugee.
How young was
places.
he? He was like young, right?
He's like 12, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, little BB Bale.
But anyway, some of the places he goes are kind of like the camp where there's just rough people and not a great time.
Well, of course, there's still like, since you mentioned it, like there's a lot of I don't know the word I want, but in a similar vein, there's the whole occupying forces in Asia and comfort women during World War II.
Yeah.
Which
and
everyone pretty much denies they did, even though we all did it.
Vietnam and stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that was
And
like
I
a
think,
huge
like-
thing in like Korea too. Like the Japanese.
That's what I was thinking of. I was
Yeah.
thinking of like MASH, which obviously is a documentary about the war.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, when Japan invaded parts of China during World War II, when we occupied Japan in World War II, Japan and Korea, and again, like everyone claims they didn't do it. And that's, I guess that's another sort of downside of this episode, because it's so sort of about this weird fantasy element. It avoids having to really get into that aspect, like really,
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of
And-
glosses over the fact that, wait, this is like sex slavery right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
it
Yeah,
is
it's icky. Like, it's shown to us that it's icky because she has to pour Kanar for that creepy dude. But, like, it never really confronts the fact that, yeah, no, her mom, Kira's mom, was just, like, straight up made a sex slave.
Yeah, exactly. And then when Kira starts kind of blaming her mother for it, it's a fascinating character choice, because you can see a lot of this is personal to Kira because it's Dukat specifically.
Yeah.
If it weren't Dukat, it might be something different, but I think Kira's at the point where it's like, Cardassians, I've learned that some of them are okay-ish. Dukat specifically is just a no-no all around.
Yeah, no, he's irredeemable.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think that this episode is harsh enough on him. I think this episode really gives him a fucking pass in the worst way.
I disagree. I think Dukat in this episode is very, very fascinating because he takes a sex slave. Like, that's what he does.
Yep.
But the way that he is framed is so consistent with his character, because he's not evil for the sake of evil. He's evil, but he's also, like, got his own backstory. He's got his own way of doing things. He's got all that charisma that we've been talking about for years and years since we met him, that he's just a fascinating character, but he's still the same fucking guy. Like, he gets Maru not by cramming his tongue down her throat, but by wooing her because he wants the Bajorans to fucking love him.
Yeah.
And there's that moment with the Legate where it's like, he's
does
got
this
a
all the time.
script.
He does it every
And
time.
that just makes it worse. And I wish, again, like, they'd spent a little more time with that. And, like, I wanted it to be more about the women who were in this awful situation than what it kind of was about.
What was it about?
Kira being upset about her mother's past
Yeah.
without actually, like, and again, because, like, you can't, I mean, it's like, is a comfort woman a collaborator? Like, not really. She's a sex slave. And it's like, what happens if you say no to them? You don't know. They might fucking kill you. Or maybe they keep you alive, but murder your family that you have back on Bajor. It's like...
Yeah, she's doing this because she knows, if I do this, my family gets more rations and medicine, which we need because there's tiny babies who've now been separated from me.
Yeah, like, it's easy for Kira to be belligerent because she's got no one and nothing that they can hold over her, because she literally shouldn't be there. She's a ghost. And, it's like, can you blame her? Maru, I mean. And it's like, because again, she knows she's got family back there.
Yeah, I think it's that Kira has been told all of her life that her mother is the bravest person her father's ever known. So I think she always assumed, like, okay, if my mother were in this position, she would resist, she would plot against Dukat in some way, which is what Kira Nerys would do.
Yeah.
But her mother has been, like, we see it in the first moment where she sees all the delicious looking
Oh
snacks.
my god, she fucking loses it. And I when we were watching that, I said to Chris, I was like, that's absolutely what you would do if you were so fucking hungry that, like, I mean, literally, like, you have a half a cup of soup to split amongst, like, your 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
If you were that hungry, you would forget everything in that moment.
Yeah,
And
I
even then,
fucking loved Maru's line when Kira says, "Don't eat so much you'll get sick." Maru says, "Sick from being full? That'll be a new one."
Yeah. Or, yeah, sick from too much food or something like that. Yeah, it's like...
And even then, she does start to feel a bit guilty about it. It's like...
Oh, like, almost immediately.
Yeah.
But it's that hierarchy of need shit. Like, if you're not getting the things that you need just to survive, of course you're gonna, like, lose, like...
Yeah,
I don't know, sight of the more important, higher, like, bigger picture shit. Like, I haven't eaten a full meal for my entire life.
I think that's the useful part about Basso. Like, Basso is unquestionably a collaborator.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the modicum of power he has. He's this sniveling shit little middle manager. We've all met people like them in real life. Like, he is just irredeemable, as far as you can tell from what little you see of him. So to have him to contrast against these women who are in just an unnavigable situation.
Yeah, and thrown there by just picking them out of a group and saying, you, and you. You're all kind of pretty. Come with me.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think Maru starts that way and is sympathetic, but then she falls in love with Gul Dukat, which
I would.
I can understand, like, she's there's not really a good choice there for her. I mean, she could do the traditional Deep Space Nine thing and hang herself from the promenade.
Yikes.
But
I've seen a lot of that.
Other than that, there's not much recourse for her. But she doesn't seem like, I get why Kira came to the conclusion that she was a collaborator, because she really seems to take to her situation.
Yeah,
but then
that's almost Stockholm syndrome.
Potentially.
But it's, and I think we also see the explanation though in the video from the husband, which is like, try to find something good about this shitty situation.
Yeah, you get
like,
lots of tasty snacks.
We're all doing great. You should try to find joy where you can, because we see that she obviously misses her family and, like, loves them and cares for them.
But she also loves that Dukat cock, so...
Well, I mean, it's probably at least as long as his neck, so...
And ribbed. It's got the same neck ridges.
It's absolutely
I was about
ribbed,
to say that.
100%.
Y'all beat
Here's a question. So how long has Kira been in the past?
Like weeks.
Weeks, right?
Because she says it's been a few... Like, there's a time jump between when she first leaves the mixer to when we next see her.
Yeah, when she's hanging out with the
few
resistance.
weeks.
I think her bomber friend says 3 weeks, maybe. But then there's even more time that passes that isn't labeled, so...
I don't think he says a specific amount of time. I think he says, like, you've been looking for her for a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
And then he says something about her going on vacation with Dukat.
Yeah, at the very least, it's been a while that Kira's just living here now.
Yeah.
Does she know when she's going to go back via the orb of time? Like, you can't think about it too much or your brain starts to melt, but Jesus Christ. Time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a bitch.
It's a mother.
I wish they did not establish at the end of the episode that she died.
That Maru died?
That Maru died, because I would have really liked to maintain my headcanon that, she stayed with Dukat and eventually, she changed her name to Tora Naprem.
Nope.
And
I was actually kind of waiting for that myself, to be honest with you.
See, actually, I read that there was a novel called The Night of the Wolves that lays out what happens afterwards. And here's just a very quick synopsis of what I've read, and I'm spoiling Night of the Wolves for everybody. Fuck it.
What is that?
Basso, our asshole friend here, he lays a scheme because he's just the fucking worst. In which, let's see, where's my notes? He tells Dukat that I guess someone told Ducat's actual wife about her and Maru, and it's kind of insinuated that maybe it's also about her and Naprem, or him and Naprem. A lot of weird shit goes on in which kind of Naprem and Naru are kind of pitted against each other.
So they do know each other.
Until Ducat's like, there's too many going on. Just get rid of Maru for me, I'll just have Naprem on the side, and maybe my wife will quiet down now. So somebody gets Maru infected with a disease that kills her.
Oh.
Ugh.
And by somebody, you mean Dukat with his dirty dick, probably.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
probably Basso.
Oh, see, I would not have assumed that Naprem and Maru overlapped each other as mistress.
Yeah, no, because the
like-
timeline doesn't require it.
Well, right, because again, you got to figure this is like 40 years at least in the past.
Is it?
Well, it could be 40. Kira's already alive.
Well, how?
I
Right,
assume
and
it's
she's
how-
only like 30-something, right?
Oh, is
Do we
she?
know
I
that?
assumed that she was a little older. I assumed that she
I
was.
don't know.
I thought she was.
I just kind of always assumed she was
I
like.
actually have no idea how old Nana is at this point, but
I also have no idea how quickly Bajoran's age.
yeah.
True.
Well, okay,
That's the
so
thing
let's
we
say
always take for
between.
granted.
I mean, she's definitely older than,
Julian, who's
Julian.
30.
and
Oh, is
Julian's
she?
like 33 or 34 at this point.
Right. His life is totally over, by the way. Just want to make sure that we mention that he's a dried up old bag.
So Nana's about 40 here.
Oh, she is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. She looks incredible.
Yeah.
Sorry,
She ages like a
still looks
Cardassian,
incredible.
okay?
I know she still looks incredible.
But so if we say she's like 40, so let's be conservative and say this was like, and she was like what, 3 in when we see her in the past.
3.
So let's say it's 37 years in the past. Then and Maru is, she's probably in her 20s, I'd guess, and she only lasted 7 more years. So Dukat would have had to been with Naprem for a really long time, like 20 plus years.
I would buy that, though.
If there was no overlap.
Oh, if there was.
If there is overlap, then it's even longer.
Ugh.
And that's a long time to have a side piece.
I mean, that's the thing. Like
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. No, the thing is, like, I think he prides himself on how well he treats his sex slaves, which is
but would he
very
really?
him.
I also feel like he's the type of guy that but I also feel like he's the type of guy that would trade in for a new model every so
I don't
many
know.
years.
I have no idea.
So, if Memory Alpha is accurate, Kira is born in 2343, and Deep Space Nine ends in 2375. So she's only supposed to be in her 30s.
Okay, well that makes sense.
So that means this can't be more than like...
I wonder when the hell.
So wait,
that's
so she's
established.
younger than Julian then?
What? Okay, this is we're getting way too nitty.
Because that would be so 2343 to 2375 is 32 years.
Yep.
And that's 1 year in the future from now. So she's 31 canonically then. But Julian is like 34 canonically. God damn it.
Yeah, according to this, he was born 2341.
Oh, that's surprising.
But again, this depends upon... I don't know.
I did not think that she was supposed to be younger than Julian.
Yeah, I don't know where Memory Alpha gets their numbers, so...
Because I thought the whole point was that Julian was like the kid, and like Julian and Jadzia were the youngest, but of course Jadzia has the benefit of the
also being
symbiont.
also being the oldest.
Right.
Well, he's the kid
The
among
super oldest.
the
Starfleet people.
folks.
And the thing is, even if she's literally younger, she's seen a lot more.
That's true.
Oh,
Well,
that's
right.
true.
She was letting her dad die alone so she could go kill some Cardis when she was like
That's
16.
That's what I said when we were watching the episode. She said, "Oh, my father always said that lilacs were her favorite." It's like, yes, he said that, and please don't let me die alone, Kira.
Oh no. Anyway, I have one more note, and then I really think we should move on. And speaking of our good friend Bashir, so he and O'Brien are going to play Alamo, apparently.
Oh, yes.
O'Brien really wants to go play the Battle of the Alamo. And Bashir's like, why would you want to play a game in which your side loses? And O'Brien says, have you met me? That's my fucking life. Ayy.
Jesus.
They're very silly. Anything else on all these wrong Dark Death Knights?
I guess I'm still hung up on this timeline.
Oh my god, not the timeline.
So Zial is how old when they get her out of the camp? She's like
16
or 17, something like that. Okay, I guess that timeline could work.
I mean, yeah, he basically would have to pick up her mother the split second Maru dies.
Yeah, but it makes sense though. If he has like a routine,
yeah,
that's such a known thing that people can quote him before he says the thing, then I could imagine that, he went to the funeral, he laid some Bajoran lilacs at the gravesite, and then was like, all right, let's throw another mixer and get some, and I'll pull my routine.
Mm.
And then he said, I still got the moves.
Hey. I have no segue. Let's talk about Inquisition.
I was gonna say, speaking of
What a show. Okay.
O'Brien's. Okay, speaking of O'Brien's holodeck proclivities.
Close enough.
It plays
Close
into
enough.
this.
Oh,
it plays into
okay.
this
I see where you're
episode.
going with this.
Yeah.
Inquisition. Here we go. Joke. Bashir is making the known mistake of going to a conference, so you already know he's doomed.
Mm-hmm.
Before he's set to depart for this conference, Starfleet CIA collects everyone together to say, there's a mole among you, and we have to figure out who it is. Which is entirely feasible, because changelings are everywhere, and we keep fucking forgetting that, and Jadzia, when she's like, you must be mistaken, none of us could possibly be, I wanted to backhand her in the face. So, Luther Sloan, our new friend from Starfleet Internal Affairs, he's questioning everybody, and Miles hacks into Julian's computer to say, hi, and I miss you, and by the way, I just got tortured for like 2 hours with questions about you, but I'm used to all that, being Miles and all, but you should keep a heads up about this. So Sloan starts grilling the fuck out of Julian about how he must have been programmed when he was in that Dominion concentration camp, but of course Julian wouldn't remember it, so there's no way to prove it either way. Da-da! And even Cisco starts questioning Bashir's intention, and Bashir's like, oh, I don't like any of this, damn it. So just as Sloan is about to take Bashir off the station to go with him and do whatever the fuck they're gonna do next, fucking Wayoon pops in, uses his Dominion powers of transportation to bring Bashir out of his office to his little place to say, hey Bashir, good job denying all those allegations. Pity they're all actually true. And Bashir goes out of his tiny little mind thinking about this until Kira and Worf beam in and nab him again. It's just an episode of Bashir getting kidnapped over and over and over again. And they bring him to the Defiant. And everyone on the Defiant is like, good, now we've got Julian back, so we can torture him for a while because he's obviously a spy like he's always wanted. Until Bashir notices that O'Brien's shoulder isn't dislocated for a fucking change. All of this must be a ruse! So Sloan comes out doing his slow clap. Well done, Doctor. Look at my sexy new jacket. It means...
his fucking Dr. Evil jacket.
Oh, I liked it. And the evil jacket...
Dr. Evil's fucking rabbi.
It means that I'm some kind of super spy, and we want you to be a super spy too. And for some reason, Julian says no, but ask me again in a couple seasons, and maybe I'll change my mind. Wink. The end.
Yep, it's the Section 31 episode.
Yeah, and like, I love this episode.
Me too.
But at the same
this
time,
is the one I like.
I kind of hate what it did.
Oh
what
no,
it started.
I don't know what it. See,
Well,
I don't
just
know
'cause,
what
like,
it does
it, like-
yet. So
No, just that, like, especially in Discovery, Section 31 is a thing.
yeah,
And like I like the concept of Section 31 in this episode, where it's like something that nobody knows exists. It's like really, really secret to the point that even Starfleet even denies its existence to its own captains.
it doesn't deny its
They
existence.
didn't deny it, but they didn't also confirm it either.
They neither confirm nor deny its existence. Yeah, so but then it's in. By the time we get to Discovery, Section 31 is just like
Common knowledge.
the special forces of Starfleet, or like the covert ops of Starfleet.
It's kind of an open secret.
Yeah, where it's like,
Yeah.
how did we get from A to B?
Without getting into spoilers for season 2 of Discovery, I think they sort of justify why they decide to start playing things more subtly after that.
Maybe, but did they like erase the like oh shit, we gotta cancel Section 31?
I mean, the thing is, like, because I was thinking about this too, but I was like, when you really think about it, all you need to do to get people to forget about something is not talk about it. Like, a story that I have told many times, I don't think I've told it on this podcast, absolutely fucking horrified me. I was in college, so this was longer ago than I'd care to admit, and I was walking past a dorm, and this is like, what, 2000...
You graduated in 07.
Yeah, so this is sometime between 2003 and 2007. I don't remember exactly.
Way to narrow
when.
it down.
It's somewhere in that 4-year period, though. And so we're talking, 15-ish years ago. And I'm walking past a dorm, and there's this girl on her cell phone. And hand to God, she goes, "So, today in my history class, we learned about these things called the Jim Crow laws? We had those. That was horrible." This woman got to university without hearing about something that happened 40 years before her time.
Did you say she never heard about it?
I didn't mean to if I did. Like, on the one hand, it seems like, how could that possibly, like, that quickly could people forget easily?
Well, it probably
Just don't put it in any official history books.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably just depends on where she was educated, where she got her secondary education, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, that as an example, though, like, if you just have all of Starfleet go, so we're going to stop talking about these guys?
True. I could see that.
And it's now, at this point, been 100 years since the end of Discovery. Like, I could see them going from open secret to open secret fewer people know about.
Maybe. But I also do think that, like, I will still say, though, that at least in terms of, like, I don't know. I feel like the writers of Star Trek, once they got wind that, oh, there's a secret covert operations division we can write stories about, they got big ol' hard-ons and then just tried to jam them in wherever they could.
Yeah, well, I know they got a whole novel series at some point. Like, every time you turn around, someone was being retconned to have been Section 31.
Yeah, and like I was honestly shocked that Section 31 wasn't involved in the Picard plot.
That we know of.
Yeah, that's what next season will be revealing.
Oh no!
But anywho, but yeah, I do really like this episode. I really like Sloane, and
I love how many twists there are. I really enjoyed seeing all the twists.
I was like yelling at the TV the whole time, literally.
Yeah?
I was so pissed off.
Did you buy the Weyoun? Were you like, no way?
No. I was like from the beginning, he's not. I was like, so either he's Dominion himself, or he's like working with them, or these are. Either way, like, I didn't know what he was, but I knew he wasn't what he said he was. Mm-hmm. And no, I didn't buy the Weyoun thing, and I definitely didn't buy everybody on the bridge crew being like, we all know you're a fucking liar. I was like, that's definitely not real, obviously.
I don't know. He has lied to them in the past.
No, but I still.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
felt
this,
really
this would be
disingenuous.
the third Bashir is a Dominion spy fake out we've had on the show. So I think
Maybe he's been arranging them all because he is a Dominion spy.
Maybe.
That'd be great.
Wait. What was the other one? I obviously there was when he was a changeling. What was the other one?
there was the one where from the episode where there was the changeling loose on the Defiant.
Oh, and it was Julian for a few minutes.
And it
That's
was
right.
Julian
I
for a little
forgot. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So poor Julian.
Yeah, seriously.
But man,
And he's so old.
I gotta hand it to Sloan though for like just the mind games he plays during
He's
this.
very good at it.
So
When he
like
sends him Worf's lunch.
yeah, sending him gah,
I loved that.
but also like doing things like knocking over Kukalaka and like because like it had to have been deliberate. Like it wasn't like they were ransacking his room because it was a holodeck room the whole time.
Yeah.
And like his his pack, his
His
suit,
suitcase?
whatever he had with him was also part of the simulation. So there was no reason to look at the pad he was working on because it was their pad. It was a hologram pad.
It's been there the whole time.
He didn't, he dropped his pencil on the floor because they wanted him to.
What an absolute nightmare the 24th century is.
Oh, yeah.
Because you never know when you were maybe put in a holodeck in your sleep.
Oh, my goodness. Don't sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't.
Yeah, this episode reminded me a little bit of Whispers, which is the one where O'Brien was a replicant. Just in the terms of you're following just one character around. You don't get to see anybody else because they're not real or because they're not part of your story. If we saw everybody else, we'd know something was up. I know that the producers or the director, Michael Dorn, directed by Michael Dorn, they also decided they never going to show establishing shots because we're in a hologram. You wouldn't see these establishing shots because we're not on these places. So it's
clever.
It's a very sneaky thing he does because we're only following Julian, which is great.
That never occurred to me. That's clever.
They're so sneaky and I love it.
That's a really nice choice. Huh.
Also just like random things too, like when they're first walking to the interrogation and a random crew member runs down the hall with a rifle.
Yeah.
Like that never paid off. That was just a thing that Sloan put in there to fuck with Julian.
Yeah. Like what's funny too is at the end there's Sloan and 2 Section 31 randos, but they're not the people that had been his like sidekicks the whole time. Were they real or were they part of the program? Because there was like the woman and the guy that were
I thought
his
they were
like
the same.
No, it was just two random white
guys.
dudes.
At the end, it was just 2 white dudes.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
and
end.
but,
I see.
Yeah. Like the 2 security officers that were working for him throughout aren't there at the end. And it's like there's an equal chance from what we know that either they were part of the program or they really are Section 31 officers, but they're off doing something else right now.
I think they were all part of the program. I think even Sloan was the program until the very end.
You don't think you think when we were in the holodeck it was just a simulated
If you were Sloan,
song?
would you ever take off that black leather suit?
Fair.
Yes.
I mean, no, if only because getting back into it must be a real son of a bitch.
Just gonna say, it looks like it gets hot.
He looked hot. Hey.
Yeah, sort of.
I loved that. I don't know. I just loved the costume is what I was saying.
Yeah, say
He was
that actor though. He was a good actor, but I was thinking the actor's name is probably Willem Dafoe, but it's spelled Defaux.
Oh no.
Actually, funny thing, his name is William Sadler.
Oh, there you go.
And
And
he
he
was
is-
in Shawshank Redemption, and as you pointed out to me, The
that's
Green
right.
Mile.
Yeah.
But perhaps best known to most people our age as the Grim Reaper from Bill and Ted.
No shit.
Yep.
You know who they wanted originally for the role?
The guy that played Rorschach.
I don't know who that is. Martin Sheen.
Oh.
I could not buy Martin
Close.
Sheen.
That is so funny.
No?
Why?
Well, sorry, only because eventually Martin Sheen plays the elusive man in the Mass Effect series. And he's similarly like part of a kind of a sketchy shadow organization. So that's really quite funny in retrospect. Also, I could totally see that. But only because
I think it would just take me the fuck out of it if it was Martin Sheen.
That's fair. But again, for me, it's like I'm thinking less of President Bartlett and more the elusive man.
Okay, but what if it was Charlie Sheen?
Definitely wouldn't work.
But Emilio, he could do it.
Emilio could work.
I mean, Emilio is just Martin Sheen, but younger.
Yeah.
Bless him. Bless little Emilio Estevez.
I still say they should have, rather than the route they took, I say, when Charlie Sheen had his breakdown and left 2.5 Men, there were 2 options, and I think one of them should have been, they start the next season, and it's like, all right, so your brother had an accident, we've reconstructed his face as best we can, take the bandages off, and it's Emilio.
I thought you were going to be like, they'll work in a crossover with Family Matters. He goes into some invention of Urkel's, and he comes out as Martin Sheen.
And he's like,
he's aged 40 years.
There we go. Yeah, I can't imagine, because this was, I honestly, hand to God, have seen maybe 1 or 2 episodes of The West Wing, but this was when The West Wing was like at its peak, right? Like he would have been too busy.
I don't know. I feel like West Wing started maybe a year or 2 after this.
Really? My timeline is fucked.
This was 1998.
Or maybe it started this year. I don't know. I feel like the West Wing started in the late 90s. Although now I can't remember. They definitely had a 9/11 episode. I just can't remember what season. I feel like the 9/11 episode was the season opener of season 4. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, it didn't start till 99.
Well, I'm not trying to say that sounds like it was in poor taste, but it sure does.
But yeah, I could have seen that, but I love William Sadler in it, so.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah, I just really loved watching Bashir squirm for a whole episode long.
Well, I just felt kind of bad for him because he's just getting gaslighted the whole time.
Yeah. The thing is, like, there's no way to prove it either way. If you have, what did they call it, like Engram backwards disease or whatever they said that they did with his memories, he would never know. He would always assume he was who he thinks he is because it's like when they Manchurian candidated Geordi. Geordi had no fucking clue. Right. They could have talked, and they, like, Wayun says, oh yeah, we talk with you like this every fucking time. Every fucking time, you eventually say, oh yeah, right, this is all right.
And we're just waiting for that. Scones.
There is a moment. There is a moment where Julian is kind of making a face like, oh fuck, what if this is real?
Yeah.
Like, for just a second, he doubts himself.
Yeah, and they also, by pointing out all of the kind of odd things that he's done, like helping the Jem'Hadar break their addiction to white.
Not spacing Jack.
It's just like...
lying about the augment thing.
Like...
forever.
If we didn't know Julian as a character, I would say that Sloane makes a pretty reasonable case.
Even knowing him as a character. Like, we all just knowing how fucking brilliant the changelings are, because, they can program the Jem'Hadar. They can clone the Vorta. They can do all kinds of fucking shit.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show, like, what, the writing in this episode is tight enough that it, I just think they did a really good job.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. You wouldn't really need to have these very complicated sleeper agents because you have changelings.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Even Julian brings up, it might be Sloane. Sloane might be the bad guy all along. And they're like, no, we know Sloane's fine. He could be a changeling. Yeah, he could. Any of you could.
Yeah.
I could be a changeling.
Yeah, but the thing is...
I'd never considered that. Ames, are you a changeling?
No.
Oh.
But there are...
blood. Drip.
A changeling could be found out, right? Like, because they...
Yeah.
Because you have the phaser sweeps, which they don't do anymore, but were a thing that...
Well, we don't see them, but they might still be doing them.
That's true.
It'd be pretty boring if every episode opened with them doing, like, another phaser sweep.
It's
You'd just
true,
be like, Jesus
Put it
Christ.
in the credits.
Every scene... Like some random security dude walks by and just blasts everybody with a low-level phaser blast.
I admit, though, it would be kind of just a nice touch if just every so often in the background you saw someone shooting a wall, like...
You're changeling?
Like, it's become just, like, janitorial duty at this point.
Yeah,
whoever's in charge of getting rid of the rats has their work cut out for them.
It's like getting a COVID test, you got to get phased to make sure you're not a Everyone gets a light phasing every time they walk into a room.
Well, you'll find me unfazed by the phasing.
Hey.
Ayo.
But yeah, so I feel like at this point, a undercover changeling would be pretty risky to be in
a secret agent man, if you will.
To be in any kind of position where it would be subjected to any kind of scrutiny. So you wouldn't want to be the chief medical officer. You might be some, low-level ensign most of the time, and every once in a while moonlight as a Bashir to get the good info.
Go play Alamo with O'Brien.
Jesus Christ, I feel like the best thing to be would just, be someone's pips.
Ooh.
They'd never catch you.
Be the fucking podium. Be the president of the Federation's desk.
Yeah. That's always stuff happening in there.
That's the thing. We're talking about people. There's no proof they couldn't just be a vase in a room.
There is, in fact, proof that they definitely could be.
Yeah, that Daedalus class model in Cisco's office has been a changeling for 3 seasons now.
Oh my god, what if Picard's fish?
Livingston, no.
Livingston seems pretty long-lived for a fish in captivity, I'm just saying.
I mean, honestly, after the Federation retook Deep Space Nine, I hope they did, a Baryon sweep.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, my.
Just to get rid of any potential change.
That's actually, it isn't, so it's not a spoiler, but that's the series finale. DS9 itself was replaced by a changeling at some point.
Yep.
Just one huge changeling. They have to escape as the station slowly turns to caramel.
Oh, God.
Oh, to caramel.
Actually, no, I guess a changeling probably would be killed by a Baryon sweep. So, because they say that it just kills all organic matter, I think they say.
Yeah.
So that's probably I wouldn't be surprised if that's a routine thing during the war.
You have to move all your houseplants whenever you do that.
Yeah, it was bad enough having to evacuate the Enterprise for one. Imagine having to get everyone off DS9 every time.
Maybe they just do it floor by floor or something.
There's probably a quicker method to do something like that, because the Baryon sweep was specifically to get the charged baryon particles out of the warp engines.
Some kind of buildup that occurs to starships.
Like the oil change.
Yeah. But yeah, Federation secret police.
Yeah, and
you
shady,
crooked bastards.
Shady as fuck.
Really shady. And this is another thing. I know this episode gets a lot of criticism for just introducing the idea that, the Federation would have an organization like 731, Section 31, because it is, to Julian's point, it is pretty antithetical to the stated goals
Federation
of the Federation. We've always said how the Federation, their altruism is only skin deep, and there's a lot of shady shit going on. But this is finding out that Santa Claus is also moonlighting as Hitler,
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. He's watching everybody pretty closely.
Let's remember, this is the same organization that has General Order 24.
Sterilize a planet.
And
yes.
Let us also remember that Hitler had a secret sweet tooth. What do you leave out to appease Santa Claus? Fucking sweets.
Oh my goodness.
But wait. What kind of scones?
But yeah, no, it's
Lord.
yeah, no.
I know it was Ira Bear's favorite thing, kind of just shitting just a little bit on all of Roddenberry's, oh no, the Starfleet and the Federation are always going to be the good guys. There's nothing wrong with them. And then Ira Bear comes in and says, what about just a little bit of these assholes? What if there's just one little group and they're all assholes? He's so funny.
Yep. And I mean, even before he's Section 31, based on how casually, Julian takes a lot of the investigation until it goes into overdrive. Apparently, when Starfleet Internal Affairs show up, like, it's perfectly all right for them to just shut down civil rights.
Well, I also think that civil rights in the military, right? As a Starfleet officer, I don't think that you are. Well, I
It's
don't
part
know,
of the
because this
job
came up in the
more, or-
drumhead too, though, right? So,
Yeah.
he was entitled in the drumhead. The guy was entitled to have representation. So
Ooh, Tarsus?
Tarsus, yeah. So yeah, that's true.
And, like, at first, like I said, until it really starts to go hooey, he's kind of just like, well, yes, of course this is how this works. It's like, why?
Well, maybe it's also just like that mentality of, oh, I have nothing to hide.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Mhm.
well, if you've nothing to hide, then yeah.
Yeah, which is dangerous.
Yeah,
you
which is
know?
why
It's like,
it's-
well, if you have
He eventually is like, yeah, I'm not going to answer any more questions until I have a lawyer.
Yep. And that's why, if you have nothing to hide, you should be okay with this, is never a good argument.
Yep. Don't talk to cops, kids. Just don't do it.
Nope. Unless there's 15,000 bees in your car.
What if they have candy? No, I also
If there are
read
15,000 bees in your car, invite the cops to sit in your car.
I read that
Especially the ones with allergies, question mark?
I read that the original story of this episode that changed significantly was it was going to be more about Bashir fighting bureaucracy. So the idea was he was going to go to a planet, leave his shuttle up in orbit, and then when he tries to go back, he learns his shuttle has been towed. And he basically has to jump through all these like bureaucratic hoops and shit because it's basically a Kafka-esque nightmare.
He parked in a red zone.
I kind of wish they still made that episode, because it's different enough that
Yeah, that doesn't even seem related.
that almost feels like DS9 does Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, I always love when I hear what the original pitches were, like being like, how the hell did you get from there to here?
It is fun.
It's like, all right, so instead of Julian's car gets towed, Starfleet secret police. Wait, what?
No, I bet you 90%
Hold on.
of the time they always wanted to do a secret police thing, and they just found like, I guess if this episode isn't working out, we can kind of scoot in this thing we've always wanted to do and just pay the writer.
I mean, in a bizarre way, like, it's a lot of steps, but I can sort of see how bureaucratic nightmare turns into secret police.
Nah.
Like, there's other ones, I can't think of any right now, but when you hear what the original idea was and where they wound up, it's like, the only logical explanation is drugs got involved at some point. Here, I could see a long, complicated through line, but I could see a through line.
So, okay, here's a riddle. I got a riddle for you.
Okay.
If a pre-warp
Enigma.
civilization finds and confiscates a starship, is it, if you're the captain that has to, go recover the starship, is it worse as far as the Prime Directive goes to interfere with the internal affairs by stealing back the starship? Or is it worse that they get the starship and reverse engineer the technology? What do you do in that situation?
So interestingly, it's not on as grand a scale as you're talking, but there is an episode of Enterprise that deals with this question.
Oh man, the only Enterprise episode that deals with the Prime Directive that I can remember is that fucking awful eugenics one. But
Wow, Enterprise is going to be special as hell.
But yeah, no, a whole starship, that's a whole different kettle of fish, though, because that's...
You set it to auto-destruct.
That's true.
Then the people on the planet are like, "Oh no, we broke it." And
I'm
then you're
talking
done.
like a legal, like literally you parked the runabout in a red zone and they towed it, because it's like, no, well, I mean, we weren't able to, circumvent the legal system on Justice Planet to save Wesley. So I guess we better let them keep the runabout.
That's what Section 31 is for.
Yep, that's when you call it Section 31. Repo men.
Actually, you imagine Starfleet must have a division for that sort of bullshit.
Actually, here's what you do. You do what they kind of started doing in Insurrection and building a fake one and swap it in the night so that people don't realize.
There we go.
So there's nothing to reverse engineer anymore because it's fake.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what they did at Roswell.
Oh, you're kind of on my ear there. But yeah, no, I remembered this one, and I'm just sitting there the whole time being like, oh man, I know where this is going.
And I'm flipping out on the couch like, wait, is it this? Is he that? Is he this? What's happening? Wouldn't say a word, the bastard.
And of course, like, I remember, like, little teenage me thinking Section 31 was, like, the coolest idea ever.
I mean, you get to play spy all the time.
Yeah, and now, of course, as an adult, I'm like, oh, wow, that's horrifying. They're not just spies, they're secret police. And secret police are bad.
Yeah.
That's true.
I maybe said this before, but I feel like probably the only major species in Star Trek that doesn't have a secret police is the Klingons, because
I was thinking that too, yeah.
that sort of subtlety is just not necessary to them.
Well, they might still, though. I mean, just because we've never seen it. Because, well, no, but it's like, you always talk about the fact that we always see their warriors and not, like, their chefs and their artists as much. There could be spies that we just haven't seen.
No, I know, but the one thing I feel like, we do see a chef at one point, is that, like...
Oh my god, that would be the Worf show. If Worf finally gets his show, that should be it. Should be Klingon secret police.
I just feel like it's just... Because the one thing Klingons don't seem to do, regardless of who they are, is subtlety. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing subtler than secret police. Like, remember the investigation that time that, there was a bombing and fucking Klingon CSI was a bomb. Like, that's it.
Yep.
That was, thank you, officer. You're wonderful. Like, I imagine at some point Klingons maybe tried to form a secret police and it just did not go well.
Well, they had to also ingrain all the weird, like, the customs and the yelling and all the stuff into it, which just wouldn't work.
Yeah. It's like, it's not even the fact that it would be dishonorable to have secret police. They're just bad at it.
Don't they also object to, like, lying?
I don't know, probably.
I feel like you couldn't be a good agent without lies.
I don't think they object to it, but I feel like they'd be bad at it more often than not.
Well, they'd definitely be bad at it.
Unless your name is Duras.
Yeah. They also just, they just look ridiculous in Groucho Marx glasses, so.
Well, that's a sound you've made him make.
Yep.
God damn.
Yeah. Section 31. Fun times.
Yeah, I'm still kind of hoping they don't do the Section 31 series.
Yeah, they will.
Because it looks like it'll be overkill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless it is specifically about them working on transitioning to being something a lot subtler.
I'm actually really surprised that they didn't Pulaski Julian at the end. Because it's just... the fact that he's like, yeah, Sloane's like, I'm not too worried about the secret getting out. It's like, why? Like, nobody knows about you. And now, Sisko does.
Jadzia's told everybody.
Everybody that Julian's talked to knows about it. The Bajorans know about it. Like,
well, that's just it, though. Apparently everyone does know. They just don't talk about it.
I guess so.
It's just like... you're going to get stonewalled by the higher-ups.
They're gaslighting the section.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we technically aren't trying to be secret, which is what makes us even more threatening.
So Sloane says that it was founded in the Federation or the Starfleet Charter.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's secret, but if you open up the Starfleet Charter and look for the 31st section, if it's the establishment of Section 31.
I think it's eventually retconned to be actually a subsection of something else.
Yeah, subsection 31 doesn't sound as menacing.
It's like section blah, subsection 31.
Subsection 31, article B.
I might be either making that up or it might be from a book, which isn't automatically is not canon.
I mean, I kind of like the idea that Section 31 isn't an actual official thing and that it is just like vigilantes.
It's just guys playing spy in their spare time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the Starfleet tolerates them because they get shit done.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone in Starfleet assumes that they're actually a thing because there's no info about them.
It literally is like Sloane and 5 other guys.
That's great.
Right. That's an interesting take. I guess, again, I don't remember tons about their other appearances outside of Discovery, but I know there are a few.
Like maybe they are disbanded after the events of season 2 Discovery, and some in the future somebody just happens upon some document that mentions them, and it's like, this is the coolest thing ever.
It was a young Sloane.
Yep.
Yay.
He actually was an aspiring Starfleet cadet, never managed to pass the academy exam. Read about this in a library one day. I was like, I'm gonna make my own Starfleet.
It's like in Gangster Planet. He just read about it and says, I'm gonna do it just like that.
Yep.
I like the idea that he tried to pass the entrance exam, but when he was confronted with the situation where he had to rescue a guy and let one guy die, he just let them both die.
More cake for me.
Ooh, cake.
Delicious.
Speaking of cake, I'm hungry. Let's get out of here.
It's funny because I almost said earlier, like, speaking of Five Guys, it's time for me to get some lunch.
Man, I would love some Five Guys.
We had Five Guys, was it just last night?
Yeah.
I guess it was. Wow, time is weird.
Time is weird, and Kira knows all about that.
That's for true.
God damn it.
Well, speaking of Starfleet being a shady bitch, thank you for joining us for episode 216 of A Star to Steer By.
Woo!
Next week, we're going to talk about 2 more Deep Space Nine episodes, In the Pale Moonlight and His Way, which I assume is about Usher.
Close.
Huh?
Said close.
As always, if you would like, you can subscribe to A Star to Steer By, where all fine podcasts are sold. We're on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. We're also on Facebook. If you want to find us there, you can search A Star to Steer Her By, or you can find us on Twitter and Tumblr at SSHB Podcast. We also have our home on the web, sshbpodcast.com, where you can find all kinds of good shit.
You know, I finally went and rated us on Apple Podcasts because I never had an account until I had to put my other podcast up on there.
Uh-huh.
And if you guys haven't rated, fucking get on it. We don't have a ton of ratings.
Oh, we need more ratings.
Rate it.
Wait, what other podcast, Ames?
Oh, my radio play, Fine-Tuned Universe.
Cool. Do you want to tell us more about that? You can plug it.
You
Go
already
for it.
have. You should listen to it. If you like the moon and you like sci-fi radio stories, check out Fine-Tuned Universe. It's up on all the podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, where you can go and rate it, and then rate this show after you've done that.
Perfect.
Hot dog.
Hot dog. That's what Ames would say.
Wow, wow.
All right. Well, until next week, this has been Caitlin.
This be Jake.
And this has been Chris.